Trump changed his mind, so there won't be any barking for now, but Putin has very little time left. The date for the end of the war has been named. A powerful explosion at the largest arms factory, Avangard. The real reasons have become known. Ukrainian soldiers, armed with knives, took down elite Russian GRU special forces in hand-to-hand combat. You have to see this. The final push. The Russian army has thrown all its reserves at Pokrovsk, a city that is nearly encircled. A Russian soldier who was forced to fight while wounded took women as hostages. They tie people to poles as bait for drones. Horrifying revelations about brutality in the Russian army. Ukraine, together with the US, has created an analog of the Russian Shahed drone, and there will be a lot of them. Hello, my name is Karina Klishin, and right now here are the main stories. But first, please like this video and subscribe to our channel so we don't lose each other on YouTube. A warm welcome, compliments on the suit, and a ceasefire without Tomahawks. This, in short, sums up the meeting between President Zelensky and Trump. But let's go through all of this one by one. The president started with a meeting of the delegations with the press. Trump said that he and Zelensky have a good relationship.
It is a great honor for me to be here today with a very strong leader. A man who has been through a lot. We have a good relationship. I think he looks very good in this jacket. I hope everyone noticed. It's very stylish. I really like it.
Well, then they moved on to a serious discussion. Trump revealed his plans for a meeting with Putin. It will take place in a bilateral format without Ukraine's participation. But he will stay in touch with Zelensky. The president of Ukraine, in turn, stated that he does not believe Russia wants peace, but he does believe that the United States, led by Trump, can stop the war.
We want peace. Putin does not want that. That's exactly why we need to put pressure on him. So we will talk to President Trump about what we need. We understand what could force Putin to sit down at the negotiating table. President Trump has truly demonstrated to the whole world that he can reach an agreement on a ceasefire in the Middle East. That's why I hope that he will also achieve great success here for Ukraine. This is a big opportunity for Ukraine. And I really hope that President Trump will be able to achieve it.
Zelensky himself is ready to meet with Putin in any format. The main thing is to end the war. The president of Ukraine also spoke about security guarantees. In his opinion, right now, those guarantees are weapons, including Tomahawks.
We're not talking about NATO, or not NATO. For Ukrainians, this is important, of course, and ultimately, it's our decision and the decision of our allied countries. It's a decision about where Ukraine's place will be. But what is most important for the people of Ukraine who are under attack every day is to have strong security guarantees. NATO provides the best guarantees, but weapon systems are also very important. Our allies are on our side. Bilateral security guarantees between me and President Trump are also extremely important.
Trump, however, stated that he would prefer to avoid using Tomahawks, but the issue of using long-range weapons against Russia remains on the table.
We're talking about a large amount of powerful weaponry, and we will continue to discuss this. I hope it won't be needed. I hope we can end this war without Tomahawks.
After the joint statements, the presidents proceeded to closed-door talks. Reportedly, these talks lasted longer than planned. There was no joint press conference afterward. Then Zelensky held a press briefing.
After this meeting, do you feel more or less optimistic about receiving Tomahawks?
I'm realistic about it.
And the reality is that there will be no Tomahawks, at least for now. This was reported by Axios.
The publication writes that Zelensky had hoped to leave Washington with commitments for new weapons for Ukraine, but found that Trump was in a completely different mood after a phone conversation with Kremlin leader Vladimir Putin. In particular, during the meeting, Trump made it clear that his priority was diplomacy, and that supplying Tomahawks could undermine it. Zelensky, for his part, actively insisted on them. But the President of the United States resisted and showed no flexibility. One source said that the meeting between the leaders was difficult, while another person described it as bad. No one was shouting, but Trump was tough, said the first source. The second reported that during the meeting, the US president made several harsh statements, and at times the meeting was quite emotional. According to Axios, the meeting ended abruptly after 2.5 hours.
The president of Ukraine, for his part, stated that the issue of supplying long-range weapons would no longer be discussed publicly.
We also talked about long-range systems. I would not like to make any statements right now. We decided that we would not talk about this, and the United States would not want an escalation. Therefore, any possible questions on this topic will be left unanswered.
As for Trump, he called the meeting with Zelensky a good one. And he stated that both Russia and Ukraine should stop where they are now and make peace.
Today, as you know, I met with President Zelensky. And we had a very good meeting, a very warm meeting. In my opinion, they should stop the war immediately. They need to stop along the line of combat wherever it is now, otherwise everything will become too complicated. It will never be possible to resolve this.
President Zelensky supports this proposal because the main goal right now is a ceasefire.
Look, for the sake of our countries and under these circumstances, where we are now and what we have now, since such a large country is opposing us, I think we should stop where we are now. And here the President of the United States is right. We should stop where we are. It's important to stop this and only then start a conversation.
However, as CNN reports, Zelensky and Trump have differing opinions.
In a direct and honest conversation, Trump made it clear to Zelensky that the Ukrainian leader would not yet receive long-range missiles capable of reaching distant corners of Russia, which he had hoped for. One official said that Trump got the impression that Ukraine is seeking escalation and prolonging the conflict, and he is concerned about potential losses during the upcoming harsh winter.
And how do you assess the meeting at the White House? The day before, we told you about a Russian-speaking individual behaving inappropriately who attacked a Ukrainian family with a child on a train in...
You're not well. What kind of Swiss are you? Show me your Swiss passport. All right then now. Come on, what do you mean, all right? What kind of Swiss person are you exactly?
This thug, besides hurling insults, even threatened violence against a small child.
Got it? Got it? Do you understand what I mean? Or do you want me to tell you you're going to get such a... What, you really don't believe me then? Why are you just sitting there? Get out, damn it! Get out with your family before your child gets it in the liver!
And then he went so far as to get physical, knocking the phone out of the hands of the woman who was recording the attack on her family.
We kill you, and we will keep killing you to the end. You, all of you. What, you don't believe it? What? Well, get your skis ready.
When the video hit the internet, the attacker was identified.
Eyewitnesses on social media recognized the attacker, who is likely Alexander Babiksa from Riga, currently living in Zurich. Users noted that this person has repeatedly attacked Ukrainian women in Switzerland, particularly at the Bern train station in June 2025. The police of the canton of Bern confirmed the incident and reported that Babiksa was detained. Authorities clarified that he does not have Swiss citizenship and his partner is a Ukrainian woman from Odessa who has refugee status.
So, there are new details about the biography of this so-called Russian man, as he called himself. In addition to being detained by the police, Babiksa was also fired from his job because of the attack on people.
He was fired from his job yesterday. He worked at Zurich airport. He was fired from his job yesterday evening. This was reported by his colleagues at work. He worked there as some kind of cook at Zurich airport. Today, the Swiss police and prosecutor's office have opened criminal cases against him. And today, all the documents and letters were sent out as well. A statement of his offense was sent to the President of Latvia, the Prime Minister of Latvia, and the relevant authorities in Latvia, regarding his xenophobic statements and his great love for another homeland, and his call to change the borders within Latvia itself. So, we'll see. And we very much wish our comrade, the Swiss, all the best and good luck.
And this is definitely not the end, so we'll keep following the developments. Ukrainian assault troops versus the Russian GRU elite. The first separate assault regiment shared how 3 of their fighters repelled an attack by Russian special forces in the Dobropilia direction.
You couldn't even hear them approach. There were broken branches everywhere. They crept up on us very quietly. We only noticed them when they were about 5 meters away from our guys.
Usually, I can hear people coming from 100 to 150 meters away. But this time he came in so quietly that I didn't even notice, even though my position was the closest. Yes, I was the first to see them and struck the first blow. And they went to ground.
According to reports, in the 1st Separate Assault Regiment, Russia likely deployed its 3rd GRU brigade. The enemy was counting on surprise and superior training, but the assault troops, Jockey, Trak, and Shershin, ruined the occupiers' plans.
They came in from the right side of the field. He came in from the right side, and then Baba Yaga shows up, a drone arrives, it's already hovering above us. And now the taxi driver is here too. That's it, guys, he's there, 5 meters away, another one is coming in from behind, and it's chaos, they're shooting. It jams. I throw a grenade to the right and left. To the right and left. Well, I had 2 positions, one facing the road, and one to throw out onto the field. Because he says it's 5 meters away. 5 meters.
The battle unfolded simultaneously from 3 directions and quickly turned into close combat. That's when the Ukrainian soldier engaged in hand-to-hand combat with the Russian occupier. With a captured knife, Zakhay eliminated the attacker.
No grenades, no rifles, nothing. I thought I would die like a silent animal. But I had a captured knife on my armor. So I get up, jump up suddenly, grab the knife, grab the rifle with one hand, and pull it toward me into the embrasure. And with my other hand, I reach out of the embrasure and hit him on the hand so he can't pull the trigger.
3 Ukrainian assault troops acted decisively, which allowed them to hold their position and prevent the enemy from advancing. These titans deserve your likes and comments. Meanwhile, on the front, the Russian army launched its last autumn push. Russian assault troops are approaching the last 2 roads into Pokrovsk. The city is effectively in a semi-encirclement. The Russian command has deployed large reserves into the battle near Pokrovsk. Large reserves. The offensive has resumed to the west and east of the city, as well as in its residential areas. At the same time, Russian forces have reached the outskirts of the neighboring city of Kostiantynivka. The Ukrainian armed forces transferred reserves to this direction back in August and are now trying at all costs to hold back the Russian advance. Without capturing both cities, further advances toward the Kramatorsk and Sloviansk agglomeration are impossible. Our review covers the main events that have taken place on and around the front line.
The main intelligence directorate of Ukraine is showcasing its new equipment and openly announcing serious problems for the occupiers. Thus, the GUR has received several of the latest T-12 boats at its disposal. Ukrainian-made. These 12-meter vessels, equipped with the latest navigation and radio equipment, 2 800-horsepower engines, a top speed of up to 95 and a range of up to 500 kilometers, were provided to the military by volunteers.
Hello everyone. Today we are handing over as many as 3 T-12 boats, which will soon be used by our fighters in the special unit. These are 12-meter boats equipped with powerful 400-horsepower engines. The boats can be used for a variety of assigned tasks. These include logistics, standard operations, assault and evacuation missions.
Thanks to such Ukrainian boats, scouts have managed to carry out more than one successful special operation behind enemy lines. Now, the military promises there will be even more such raids. And it should be noted that for the occupiers, these are far from empty words. The enemy no longer doubts that the armed forces of Ukraine will go on the offensive. And it seems the occupiers have realized that this will happen very soon. That's why the enemy is preparing as best as it can to receive thousands of its wounded contract soldiers. This video was filmed deep behind enemy lines by Ukrainian partisans. A hastily constructed building in temporarily occupied Crimea is being designated as a hospital. Russia is being forced to set it up due to massive losses on the Kherson and Zaporizhia fronts. The influx of wounded from there has exceeded all expectations. As a result, the existing hospitals and field medical stations can't cope. Construction of the Sevastopol facility began in October 2022, and it was originally scheduled for completion only at the end of 2026. Now they're trying to finish it in emergency mode. Construction workers are working in 3 shifts, violating all technological standards. They're cutting corners on materials and safety, which leads to constant accidents at the construction site, according to Ukrainian partisans. Distortions in the structures and problems with the foundation are already visible. Yet even under such conditions, wounded Russian soldiers are immensely grateful. After all, it's much better than being wiped out by your own side right on the battlefield. By the way, that's exactly what the much-vaunted Russian air defense did just the other day. It may provide cover, but it doesn't protect as it shot down its own fighter jet. The Russians accidentally shot down their own Su-SM aircraft while intercepting yet another swarm of Ukrainian drones. By the way, there will be even more such chaos in Russian skies in the foreseeable future, and after the military, Kremlin air defense might accidentally start shooting down its own civilian airliners as well. And it's all thanks to Ukrainian weapons manufacturers who are constantly ramping up the production of strike UAVs and missiles. For example, the Flamingo is already being stockpiled for a full-scale strike on Russia, announced by the Ukrainian authorities in response to Putin's raids on our energy infrastructure. So it's high time for Moscow and St. Petersburg to start preparing for blackouts.
The Flamingo can cut off power and water in any region of Russia. Right now it's truly a primal fear, a fear of what might happen to them.
The preparatory stage for the future attack on Moscow was a nighttime raid on several Russian targets at once, in the occupied territories. Donetsk was also under attack. There, large explosions were reported, likely at an ammunition depot. In addition, drones struck the village of Gvardeyskoye in occupied Crimea. An oil depot caught fire there. And it was loud even inside Russia itself. In Sochi, an air raid alert was declared at night. Explosions were heard there. An air defense activity. The city's mayor confirmed the attack. However, he did not specify whether the Ukrainian drones reached their targets. This gives reason to believe that the Ukrainian armed forces most likely achieved their objective in Sochi. In the same way, the enemy cannot hide from Ukrainian drones even on the front lines. In the past 24 hours, the Russian army has lost at least 700 soldiers wounded and killed. They are also down 5 tanks, 10 armored vehicles, 35 artillery systems, and more than 1,000 drones. Nevertheless, Putin is not giving any orders to retreat. On the contrary, his generals are only increasing the intensity of local assaults on Ukrainian positions.
The tactics remain unchanged. That is, these are small assault groups. 2, 3, 5, or 7 Russian servicemen try to break through using some tree lines. They advance toward our front line. But thanks to our aerial reconnaissance teams, we spot them in time. That is, even as they approach, they come under fire from artillery and collective weapon systems. This also includes FPV drones and Mavics dropping munitions. In other words, we do everything possible to prevent them from reaching our front line, so they can't start a firefight with our guys.
In the past 24 hours, there have been 187 recorded combat engagements between Ukraine's defense forces and Russian troops along the front line. According to the General Staff's report, the occupiers carried out strikes on the positions of Ukrainian units and populated areas. Up to 100 airstrikes, dropping 206 guided bombs. In addition, they carried out 4,553 shellings, including 118 from multiple launch rocket systems. And here is how our defenders responded to this.
Over the past day, the aviation, missile forces, and artillery of the defense forces struck 14 areas where enemy personnel, weapons, and military equipment were concentrated. 1 unmanned aerial vehicle control point, 6 artillery systems, and 1 important facility belonging to the Russian invaders were also hit, according to the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine.
And here, our border guards have launched a hunt for the occupiers' vehicles and personnel in the Kursk direction. Our defenders are also harassing the enemy in the Kherson region. The pilots of the drone battalion are leveling enemy positions with their drops, destroying enemy FPV drones called Zaduni. They are also burning shelters and positions of Russian flyers near the second Lyman. The Russians' ammunition cache was also hit, along with the personal belongings of the invaders themselves, and the enemy command post in this sector of the front.
I never cease to admire the courage and heroism of Ukrainian soldiers. They are holding the front and standing up to a huge horde that vastly outnumbers them. That's why I urge everyone to support the armed forces of Ukraine. And if you can't do so financially, write them words of support in the comments. I know they're watching us. A powerful explosion occurred at the Avangard plant in Bashkortostan, Russia, which produces weapons and ammunition, followed by a fire.
Base reduction by 0.5. We're here on duty.
The cause of the explosion is unknown, but it definitely wasn't drones. Even in Russia, they're saying so. The reasons behind what destroyed an entire workshop at the plant are being investigated. No shrapnel would have flown here. According to Russian media, as a result of the emergency at the facility, there are fatalities among the workers and many injured. Judging by reports from Russians connected to Avangard, the plant was launching the Kalaxilan workshop. And something went wrong. And while Avangard met its fate, a substation in Russia's Ulyanovsk region was visited by drones. We're talking about the Veshkaima substation, one of the key elements of Russia's power grid.
This facility provided a connection between the Ulyanovsk, Mordovia, Chuvash and Samara regions and served as a transit hub for supplying electricity from the Syzran and Zhiguli hydroelectric power plants to central regions of Russia.
Explosions were also heard in several other regions of Russia, including the Moscow region. Because of the effective drones, at least 9 airports in Russia were closed. A plank-over plan was implemented. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer suggested that the US prepare a draft peace agreement for Ukraine, similar to the way the war in the Gaza Strip was concluded. Axios reports that during Zelensky's conversation with the EU leader, he proposed developing a set of documents consisting of 20 points, similar to the one Trump provided for the ceasefire in the Gaza Strip. At the same time, NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte proposed holding an urgent coordination meeting on European NASB countries this coming weekend.
Every voice matters. Join our community, support independent journalism and help us bring you the truth from Ukraine. Become a member of Ukraine today. Join us now.
Putin's plane to Budapest will be escorted not only by Russian, but also by Turkish airlife fighter jets. The publication reports that the bunker dweller's plane will likely head to the Hungarian capital via the Caspian Sea, Iran, Turkey, the Mediterranean Sea, Montenegro and Serbia. Along this route, Russian and Turkish fighter jets will escort Putin to eliminate threats from drones or missiles. The other route is a northern one, through Paris. Passing through Poland and Slovakia is unlikely due to danger and political complications. As a result, Putin will have to make a detour of almost 5,000 kilometers, which will extend the flight by about 3 hours. We've heard a lot about the atrocities committed by the Russian army against their own, but nothing like this before. According to the enemy Telegram channel Inside Azov, Russian soldier Sergei Konstantinov from the 60th was wounded. But not only was he not evacuated, he was forced under threat of execution to storm again. So, in order not to die, he ran away from the front line. To avoid being killed by the barrier troops in the nearest settlement, the soldier took women hostage. He recorded and posted a video waiting for the military prosecutor's office.
To leave the front line. Wounded, to leave on foot by myself because my commander promised to tie me to a tree for the night so that they killed the birds, or they would shoot me because I refused to carry out a combat mission while wounded. My entire company was killed. They died stupidly and senselessly. Right now, I am in a store with hostages. I have an F1 combat grenade without the pin in my hand. I just want to be taken to the prosecutor's office. I will surrender to the prosecutor's office.
And it worked. Obvious terrorism saved the soldier from execution by his commanders. He was detained. So, what do you think of the world's second army? Write what you think in the comments. And here's another shocking story about how the Russian army abuses its own. The mother of Russian serviceman Ilya Gorky spoke about the abuse her son suffered. Previously, Gorky served as part of the crew of the TOS-1A Solntsepiok. However, in the spring of 2025, he was transferred to an assault unit of the 36th Motorized Rifle Regiment.
In April of this year, my son went on his 4th deployment for the special operation, and he ended up in an assault brigade. Before that, he went on deployments with the Solntsepiok. He was a flamethrower operator, and all his deployments went well, without any violations, everything was fine. On his 4th deployment, he ended up in an assault brigade of Military Unit 12-274, 36th Regiment, assault detachment in the Krasno-Limansk direction beyond the Kremenaya station. The commander, through his reckless actions, got a significant number of people killed in a very short period of time.
The commander with the call sign Luxor gave the order to enter a settlement that was completely controlled by Ukrainian defenders and to take a photo with the Russian flag in front of a building. While carrying out this task, a large number of Russian servicemen were killed. Only 4 people from Gorky's group survived. Upon their return, Commander Luxor ordered the fighters to storm the position again, but they refused. For this, the commander handcuffed them to a tree. They were kept like that for 4 days without food, water, or the ability to use the toilet. One of the servicemen managed to record a video in which Ilya described what was happening and sent the recording to his mother.
I am a serviceman of the 25th Combined Arms Army, 67th Division, 36th Regiment, Assault Detachment. We've been handcuffed to a tree for 3 days now without food, without water, without anything, and we're not allowed to go to the toilet or anywhere else. That's how things are. Exactly the same, I mean, as you said.
The woman sent the video to various authorities, but the Russian Ministry of Defense did not believe her and accused her of tarnishing the honor of the unit. Ukraine and the US are jointly developing a weapon capable of turning the tide of the war. It's an analog of the Shahed drones, but this joint development is much more effective.
The Ukrainian Shahed has reached a new level. Now the drone is equipped with advanced Western guidance and control systems, and production will be established both in the US and in Europe.
It will soon go into mass production in Ukraine, the United States of America, and Germany. This is being reported by the press. The American company Auterion, together with a Ukrainian partner, has successfully tested a long-range kamikaze drone, Artemis LM-20. The drone is equipped with an artificial intelligence system, self-guidance, and can strike targets at a distance of up to 1,600 kilometers.
At the same time, the warhead weighs 45 kilograms, which is more than enough to destroy most military targets. Our military adds that enemy equipment and hardware are also targeted.
The key point here is that it uses artificial intelligence, and frankly speaking, the price is quite reasonable, to put it mildly. And if the tactical and technical specifications, such as speed and flight altitude, are met, and as I understand it, they are, these factors have already been studied and tested, then of course things will become a bit easier for us.
It is also known that the main feature of Artemis is its navigation and targeting system based on the Skynote N onboard computer from the American company Auterion. As noted, it is this system that allows the drone to target and strike even when satellite navigation fails, ensuring high accuracy in the final stage of flight.
Enemy countermeasures mostly rely on jamming GPS signals. In other words, roughly speaking, this is what helps achieve more precise targeting. If we're talking about control channels, then yes, they do have some systems that can limit capabilities in the control channels. Of piloted drones, we're talking about a system that, to a greater extent, enables automatic flight thanks to, for example, the onboard equipment it carries. Therefore, what we are explicitly saying here is that, thanks to these advanced and sophisticated capabilities, this highly effective system can effectively bypass the enemy's electronic warfare systems and precisely hit the intended target with only minimal deviation, primarily due to the highly accurate visual guidance system that is meticulously installed directly on this particular unmanned aerial vehicle, or UAV.
At the same time, the developers at the company have already announced that the drone has undergone battlefield testing. This has already been recognized by both the Ukrainian side and its production partners.
This drone was created together with an unnamed Ukrainian company whose identity is withheld for security reasons, and it has already undergone full-scale testing, which, according to the company's statement, included ground launch, navigation with and without GPS, long-range transit, and ground activation.
It is worth noting that the Artemis ALM-20 also features a nose camera, additional antennas, and apparently an electric motor, which experts point out is a rather unusual solution. This is done in order to achieve high results with smaller production scales by ensuring more precise target hits. After all, the camera at the final stage of the UAV's operation will allow it to strike almost without missing, including by bypassing possible anti-drone defenses.
First and foremost, they are intended to be used to destroy those targets that affect the military power of the terrorist state and its ability to conduct combat operations in Ukraine.
At the same time, joint production with the United States is far from the only international initiative of the Ukrainian defense industry. Most often, Western partners are willing to invest specifically in drones. Denmark became a pioneer in the field of joint defense production with Ukraine and was the first to invest initially in enterprises in Ukraine, and now has allocated more than 67 million euros to establish Ukrainian defense enterprises on Danish territory. Finland was also one of the first to engage in joint production with Ukraine. Back in November 2024, the Finnish defense consortium Summa Defence established a drone manufacturing enterprise in Finland in partnership with 4 Ukrainian companies. The United Kingdom has also placed an emphasis on drones. A few months ago, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer announced plans to launch joint production on British soil.
We are currently working out the details in decisions regarding joint weapons production with our partners. This is a serious decision with those who are providing the most assistance. Specific projects mean tangible benefits for our defense. In the future, there will also be production facilities localized in Ukraine. Production facilities that help protect the skies. I want to thank our partners for their interest in working with Ukraine and our industry in this way.
At the same time, the EU has allocated €1.5 billion for a defense plan and cooperation with Ukraine, Bloomberg reports. The main goal of the program is to optimize the procurement and production of weapons, including joint efforts with Ukraine. So, it seems that soon there will be a significant increase in joint Ukrainian-Western developments in the arsenal of the armed forces of Ukraine.
It seems the Far East has long ceased to be a part of Russia. While the Kremlin is busy with the war, the region is quietly being divided by China and North Korea. Chinese economy, North Korean migrants, but apparently Putin is fine with all of it. Does this mean the Kremlin will simply give up the Far East? Or does it have no choice? And what should we expect going forward? Could it really be that Russia will lose part of its territory? More on this in the report.
Russia is losing the Far East. Not officially, but in reality.
Without any exaggeration, the Far East has become the most important factor in strengthening Russia's position in the world. Our flagship in the new global economic reality.
While the Kremlin is preoccupied with war, the region is quietly being divided by its neighbors, China and North Korea.
I would call it a kind of creeping takeover, creeping migration. For now, of course, control over the Far East still remains in Moscow's hands, but there are more and more Chinese there, and they are playing an increasingly significant role in the economy. Well, as they say today, they play a big role in the economy, and tomorrow they'll play a big role in politics.
More than 1 trillion rubles in investments from China. It sounds like aid, but it's all centered around trade, not the development of the region.
China needs to use Russian resources on the cheap. And accordingly, they will have that opportunity. And that's precisely why I firmly believe this significant economic dependence of these particular regions on China will only continue to steadily grow and expand over time. Me cheese.
Also, the Chinese have long ceased to be guests in Russia.
The Far East is simply not needed. So it means it should be given to the Chinese. That's what they want to do more and more. The Chinese can easily just come in and that's it. No one here will resist anymore. There will be no one to resist and nothing to resist with.
According to various estimates, up to 2 million people live from Vladivostok to the Urals.
This is called settling these territories with Chinese people and in various forms. This comprehensively includes both the migrants themselves keen and individuals involved in mixed marriages, from which children are subsequently born and raised within these diverse family structures. And accordingly, these regions are becoming more and more closely tied to China.
Now about North Korea. In the Far East, just in the past year, more than 15,000 North Koreans have officially arrived and unofficially up to 50,000. And that's not the limit yet. 153,000 new labor contracts have already been ordered.
There is a shortage of labor in Russia today because so many people have been killed in the war. And accordingly, demographic problems still remain, so yes, there aren't enough of their own people. And in this sense, North Korea is an excellent supplier of labor resources because the people are disciplined and accordingly know how to march in step in every sense of the word.
So it turns out that Moscow has handed over the region for temporary use. But why?
Putin needs people whom, as he sees it, are easy to control. It doesn't matter, even if not directly by him, but through others. That's why he's confident that these people won't start a revolution, won't protest against Moscow's actions. He thinks these are very convenient people, and it would be good if Russia were populated by just such convenient people. After all, you never know what might happen with your own people.
But everything comes at a price. And the longer the Kremlin turns a blind eye, the more important the question becomes: who is really in control of the Far East?
In reality, today, of course, Russia is essentially a vassal state of China, which the People's Republic of China primarily utilizes to exert significant pressure on the European continent. And we clearly understand that the global confrontation that is currently unfolding is, of course, not solely between Russia and the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, no, but rather between China and the United States, between China and Europe. In this case, today's Russia is like a guard dog that obeys its master's every command.
So what happens next? Is it still possible for the Far East to return to Moscow's real control, or is the opposite more likely? The influence of China and North Korea will only continue to grow.
The influence of China and North Korea will only increase, and accordingly, China will make its own decisions. Will it even be necessary for China to legally annex all of this? Or is it enough to have, let's say, complete economic control today, and tomorrow that will turn into full political control?
It seems that while Putin is focused on seizing other people's territories, he is gradually losing his own. And ironically, these territories are being taken not by enemies, but by the Kremlin's own allies.
The next story from temporarily occupied Luhansk really struck me. There, a Ukrainian woman bravely put the Russian occupiers in their place. She spoke out about who Putin really is, recalling the legendary chant. And she didn't spare the occupiers either, reminding them that they had come to someone else's land.
Once again, Putin is a dickhead along with you. That's it, all done. I couldn't care less about you. I couldn't care less about you. Excellent. I am telling you once again, I am sending you away after what you have just said.
But you're not sending us, you're sending Putin, and us along with him. Now that's really it.
Here
are your cockles. Cockles?
You came here to Kokol land. You're here now. I've been in Luhansk for a long time. So do you even know whose land this is?
This is
Russian land. Russian land. Russia. Ukraine. Russian land. Ukraine.
As the Russians used to say, they're waiting for you with flowers and open arms. In Ukraine, the only thing waiting for you is a body bag, and a woman here is braver than the entire so-called Second Army of Putin. Bravo. How do you like our news? Let us know what we should change to get better. We will definitely take it into account. And in the meantime, give this video a like to support what we do, and be sure to subscribe to our channel, Ukraine Today, so you don't miss future episodes. See you